My wife and I are both 27. We got married at 21, I know that's young. We never wanted kids and agreed to it. In August, my wife's sister and her husband died. We minded their kids, a young grammar schooler and a toddler since. She's the young grammar schooler's godmother and I'm the toddler's godfather. We had a good relationship with the couple. Her husband was my pub football buddy, etc. We recently were asked about our intentions with the kids. We had a huge fight. She wants to put them in care, but I don't. Financially, we're very good. No debt, own our own home, inherited. I have a successful business. She's been very successful so far in her job, etc. She said she doesn't want to be tied down to kids. I said it wouldn't have been my first choice, but they are family. She said, I knew you'd change your mind on kids. I was like, I didn't change my mind. The circumstances changed. I asked her if she didn't see a duty to them, and she said no. She said they'll get a family, maybe with kids already in the home, and they'll be better off. And I said if they don't get a family, or if they get a family, that isn't great. She said I'm not minding them. The ball's in your court, she said. I asked if she was 100% certain. She said yeah. I was honestly shocked and said I've never been more disappointed in her. She said likewise. We've never argued ever, maybe a fun argument over what show to watch. We aren't even talking. We still give each other a morning kiss and cuddle, but that's all. Selfishly, there's a tiny part of me wondering if she would feel any responsibility for me if something happened to me. I know that's unfair. I also find it incredibly heartless. The eldest still cries many nights. You can see the sadness in him. To say, into care you go, au revoir, is mind-blowing to me. Just for balance, I love her and she is a great woman. So, am I the idiot for changing my mind on wanting kids and saying, I've never been more disappointed in my wife? Not the idiot. Why did she agree to be a godmother if she doesn't want to care for them? Stay with the kids. Your life and theirs will be so much better. Those little children are so lucky to have you. The heartbreak they must feel not having their parents is awful, and your wife is a stone-cold ice queen. Wife is a stone-cold ice queen. Oh, please. Having boundaries and knowing what you want is not being stone-cold. What good would it do to the kids if they were raised in a house where the mom doesn't want them? Kids notice these things and it'll do more harm than good. OP can take in the kids and raise them. He's not an idiot for wanting that, but his wife is not in the wrong. She should leave because this won't sustain her. Why did she agree to be a godmother? Because being a godparent and becoming a guardian if they lose their parents are not automatically the same thing. Godparents usually are just responsible for the spiritual side of things, to provide spiritual guidance, so to speak. They do not have any obligations to take them in if anything happens to the parents. That's what guardians are for. It's a common misconception. OP, it's a devastatingly sad situation, but your wife is doing what's best for her and you're doing what's best for the children. She's not an idiot for saying no. Some people really don't want kids and that's their right. You're the idiot not because you want to take care of the kids, but because you're trying to force her to do something she's been crystal clear about not wanting to do. You have a right to want to go your separate ways, but not to guilt trip her. Seriously? Wow. Yeah, let's toss her niece and nephew to the winds. In my opinion, she actually is the idiot. When your sister and brother-in-law die, it is really time to step up and put aside what you want and do the right thing. When tragedy strikes, family has to do things they don't want to, but have to. Sending her own niece and nephew into foster care is extremely heartless. Maybe you don't know what foster care is like, but the difference in their lives by being raised by their auntie and uncle, as opposed to a foster home and foster parents, will be tenfold. If she sends them to foster care, she's an idiot 100%. I, 34 male, met my wife, 36 female, 4 years ago. We got engaged and married after 1 year together. We have a toddler daughter. We both work freelance and her income is usually 2 or 3 times more than mine. We work equally in terms of time spent. When one person's working, the other takes care of the baby. As she earns more, she spends more. She treats herself and the family members, 1 child and 2 cats, at her level of income. For example, we dine out a bit too much. I try to cook, not bad, but she usually doesn't feel like eating at home. She loves to buy expensive fruit over affordable ones or buy costly clothing, bags, or a top-of-the-line rice cooker. At the same time, she wants to feel equal in providing for the family. I try my best, I always sleep later and wake up earlier, to meet her expectations. Maybe haven't met them yet, so I always run out of money every month. Every time I bring this into conversation, it's always, I have the right to use my money. There's no way to get her to spend at the same rate as my income, above average in my city. She used to work in the fashion industry and's a bit picky about what she wears. I never considered sitting down with her to write down every item on her wish list. Because what she can buy, she already buys, and what she can't buy, I can't help her with. At least that's what I think. So today she bought a Chanel lipstick the first time after 3 years, and I intended to say let me pay, asked for the price, and she replied $50. I said, wow, a $50 lipstick? Normal people can never use this. I can't afford it right now, so I didn't suggest paying for her either. She felt disappointed because of what I said and because I never buy her any significant things except on birthdays. Her last birthday gift was a small necklace worth 1/5 of my monthly income, and some special occasions in the 4 years we've been living together. Apart from occasional flowers, I rarely buy her any significant gifts in daily life because I never save enough for this. It's not my priority to buy her excessive stuff that she doesn't need. So am I the idiot for not putting my wife's girly stuff more on top of my priority? Edit, we live in an expensive apartment, 1 extra room for her works with clients, and we share 50-50 for that. My half took up 1/3 of my income. I'm also paying for the meals out, not equally, but we take turns to pay. I would say somewhere around 65-35. Every essential thing we try to make is balanced, including household appliances. I would say her spending is affecting me to some extent. You are the idiot in one respect. Asking to replace an expensive lipstick for $50 when she used her last one for 3 years isn't outrageous. It's roughly $15 a year, so she's getting good quality that lasts. You simply don't prioritize spending it because you don't value it. You don't consider the things she needs reasonable, therefore you don't budget for them. From what you've written, she contributes equally to the house. So what's the problem with her buying blueberries and raspberries and going out for dinner when she can afford it and takes you too? She says I have the right to use my money, so I'm struggling to see why she can't. He's under strain. She earns a lot more than him but wants him to contribute equally. She spends her disposable income while their arrangement leaves him with nothing. This isn't an ego issue at all. This is an unfair financial situation where one person in the marriage lives it up and the other is unable to. If the roles were reversed, you wouldn't be telling the wife she has an ego issue. Everyone's the idiot here. Maybe this is traditional, but once you're married, your income should become one line. This means if you're to the point where you're running out of money every month, but your wife is buying designer clothes and $50 lipstick, that's an issue. I'm not married, but if I were, I would never do that to my husband or kid. You have a child. You should be saving money and living smart, especially with the current state of the economy. That's not to say she can't treat herself occasionally, but this sounds a little excessive to me, and it sounds like you're really hard on yourself. I have a 5-year-old cardigan corgi. He's an absolute unit, as my friends say. He's high in strength, constitution, and low in intelligence and wisdom. He often tries to eat things that aren't safe for him. I live alone and hired a dog walker I found on Rover to visit him once a day during the work week. Instead of going through the app, I agreed to pay her in cash. She's generally been great, but we've had a few mishaps, like her not telling me when my dog ate and tore up a wooden hand fan. I've given her the benefit of the doubt because my dog loves her and enjoys his walks with her. Last night, my dog vomited up 5 or so partially chewed, large, bright orange seeds. They're from the Kunti plant and are in the same family as sago palms, which can be fatally toxic to dogs even in small amounts. Unfortunately, they're part of the landscape in my dog-friendly apartment complex. I decided not to wait it out and took my dog to the emergency vet. They admitted him to critical care because the risk of him deteriorating was so high, even though he was in good spirits when I left him. I messaged my dog walker to let her know what happened, and she insisted she never saw him eat the seeds and that she tried to prevent him from eating things on the ground. I know he didn't eat the seeds on my watch because I exclusively took him to the turf-only dog park yesterday, which isn't near the toxic plants. The emergency vet visit is costing thousands of dollars. I haven't brought up the cost to her yet, but am I the idiot to request that she contribute to this huge expense? I get it's my dog, but also I've never let this happen on my watch. I understand it was likely an honest mistake, but I also feel it's irresponsible to let someone's dog eat random things off the ground, especially if you aren't paying close attention. You are the idiot. You have zero proof that she was negligent here, and you describe the dog as persistently having this bad behavior. Yet you choose to live in a complex with substances around that can be fatal to your pet. You assumed that risk. You even stopped booking via the official service that may be able to help pay things in case of an accident. Typical irresponsible pet owner where everything that happens with their ill-trained animal is someone else's fault. Grow up and pay the bills yourself. And maybe if OP's dog is really bad with this sort of thing, I have a golden that will eat anything, muzzle the dog when walking. He cannot pick up anything to eat. My Golden does look like Hannibal Lecter with the muzzle, but he no longer eats everything he sees. I'm shocked that no one's pointed this out before you. Also, seeds can travel shockingly far on clothes and shoes, and just because they only grow in one place doesn't mean they can't be found in nearby spots. The dog absolutely could have come upon and eaten these in OP's care without them noticing. OP, dogs are not low in intelligence and wisdom. Owners are. You have a dog that you failed to properly train. I, 26 female, have a younger sister, Bayla, 23 female, and we've had a tense relationship for the past 10 years. Back when I was 6 and she was 3, our dad, 47, cheated on our mom, 47, which destroyed the family. My mom was working hard in med school while also trying to parent me, and my dad was the type of man who was resentful that my mom had the audacity to find a way to continue school instead of dropping out and being a wife to him. Instead of talking to my mom, he became passive-aggressive, would try to sabotage, and eventually started his affair with my stepmom, Judy, 44 female, something my mom found out about after coming home and catching them in her bed. Bayla and I were really young, so my mom decided not to tell us the truth, and Judy used that to get in our good graces. I was always polite but distant, but Bayla was young enough for it to work, and it wasn't long before she started calling Judy Mom, which really ticked off my mom, but Judy and my dad loved it. I found out the truth when I was 10 and became a lot colder and angrier whenever I had to go to my dad's place. My mom tried to put me into therapy, but Judy and my paternal grandma didn't think it was needed, so my dad wouldn't consent to it, which my mom had to take him to court over. When Bayla was 13, she started getting on me about refusing to want to do anything with Judy for Mother's Day, as well as not helping convince our mom to share the day with Judy since they were both our moms, and I snapped and told her the truth. She didn't believe it at first, but when Judy's brother confirmed it, she did sulk about it for about a week, but then went back to being loving towards Judy. In her words, it was a long time ago. Cheating happens, you can't stop love, and everything worked out in the end. She frequently told Mom about this and started to campaign to try and force our mom to forgive Dad and accept Julie. She said that she would be a bad mom if she hated our dad and Judy more than she could love her. To her credit, my mom did try, but Judy was such a passive-aggressive mean girl witch that Mom just washed her hands of the situation. When it was time for Bayla's high school graduation, she gave our mom an ultimatum. Either sit next to Judy for the entire ceremony and pay for her and our dad's share of the bill for dinner, my mom would pay for everyone else but them, or she won't be invited to her graduation at all. Our mom sat out the graduation and didn't attend the dinner. Judy made a post about how evil some mothers can be for not putting their child first, which Bayla liked and shared, and Mom took back the car she gave Bayla. It was still in her name. Our mom still paid for Bayla's college tuition, but she wouldn't pay for her room and board like she did for me, and accused our mom of favoritism. After that, Bayla and Mom went very low contact, and that's how it's been for years. During this time, Bayla met, dated, and got engaged to Ethan, 26 male. She did send Mom an invite, but I think that was just to get some money out of it. Unfortunately, the engagement was off because Ethan ended up cheating, and Bayla found this out after going to the doctor and finding out she had caught something from him. Bayla contacted Mom, but she got an "I'm sorry you're going through this" text. Bayla was furious, but I told her that given how she treated our mom and dismissed Dad and Judy's actions, she shouldn't expect much. Bayla, my dad, Judy, and some paternal relatives are calling me an idiot. But am I? In her words, cheating happens, and you can't stop love. Think I would have harshly reminded her of those words. Your sister can go cry to the cheating dad for sympathy. You and your mom are definitely not the idiots here. P.S. I think your mom is an absolute star for going through studies, raising kids and dealing with a cheater, plus the one he cheated with. And tell your sister she should go to dinner with Ethan and the affair partner and she should pay for the whole thing. And then, once your sis has children, she should tell them to call the affair partner Mom. The forgiveness bus is a ride set up by people who do awful things and don't want long-term consequences. Bayla's been brainwashed by the cheaters, but now that it's happened to her, she wants all the sympathy. Hard pass. My 23 male cousin, 30 male, and his girlfriend, 32, recently had to move out of their place after his girlfriend lost her job. My cousin has been unemployed for quite some time due to his mental health, which is a sore subject for him. This will be relevant later. His girlfriend has been job searching, but it's a long process and they need somewhere to stay, so they've been staying with my roommate, 22 male, and me. I didn't love this arrangement in the first place since we have a 2-bedroom apartment and I've needed to move into my roommate's room to make space, but it's family and my roommate says he doesn't mind having me in his room for now, plus my aunt is paying us, so whatever. The problem is that my cousin and his girlfriend have insisted on bringing their emotional support dog with them, not a service dog. It's technically fine in terms of our lease, and I don't mind dogs in general, so at first I said okay, but this thing has been a nightmare. It's loud, pees on our floors, and it chewed up one of our couch pillows. My cousin and his girlfriend think this behaviour is hysterical and endearing, but every time my roommate and I tried to bring up that we'd rather they find somewhere else for their dog, they go on and on about how they can't possibly part with their fur baby and just will not hear it. This all kind of culminated last night because my roommate had an important presentation this morning, so he tried to go to bed early last night, but the dog wouldn't stop barking. My cousin and his girlfriend were all like, "Oh, she wants to play," but my roommate and I were pretty annoyed. I told my cousin that this arrangement wasn't working and that he needed to find somewhere else to put the dog. He told me again that it was their fur baby, and his girlfriend started getting really upset and telling me we were making the dog feel unwelcome and it was like asking them to part with their child. I told them that the dog was not a baby and that they needed to take responsibility for it or find somewhere else for the three of them to stay. He reminded me that he needs the dog for emotional support and that his girlfriend is trying to find a job and they have nowhere to go until then. Partially out of anger, I told him that his emotional support needs weren't my problem and that maybe he should try getting a job too. I know he's had a rough time with his mental health and how this impacts employment, so I think those two statements put together cut a little deeper than I intended. He hasn't been talking to me today, and his girlfriend called me an ableist for what I said. My aunt texted me this morning that my cousin and his girlfriend plan on moving out this weekend with their dog and that I was way too harsh with him. I do understand why the comment affected them, and I feel bad about it, but it finally got the dog out of our place after we'd been trying the gentle approach, so I don't know what else I could have done. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. If a human baby was peeing on the floor, I'd have the same sentiment. Screw everything else, having a creature just pee in the home is inexcusable. If you need the dog for support, they care for it. Take it on walks and give it attention. That they laugh when they think their dog is barking for attention is sad. Why isn't the dog getting attention? They're being cruel to that animal. Exactly this. You didn't agree to have your home and belongings destroyed. What the heck are the two unemployed adults doing while their dog is chewing things and peeing on the floor? If they were walking the dog and training it, there wouldn't be a problem. You were not too harsh. These people are freeloaders, and they're wildly intrusive in your life. I'm so sick and tired of people using their mental health as an excuse to be crappy, lazy, entitled human beings.